Welcome everybody to our afternoon session. I will quickly share my screen and I will walk you through what you can expect today in the afternoon. You see my screen in front of you. So as Eva already mentioned, in this afternoon we have three short workshops, three presentations on the three core practices of investing for impact that you see here. Which is non-financial support. We will start with that one. Then we go into tailored financing. And at the end of the afternoon, we will look into impact measurement and management. So this just as an overview. Our sessions will be about 50 minutes with a short introduction from our side. Then we have our speaker presenting their case. And then eventually we'll have some time for question and answers. And one important thing that I would like to remind you of is that you have the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. So if you have a question that pops up during the presentation, make sure that you place your question there and not in the chat, but only in the Q&A section. All right, that's it. So let's get started with our first workshop on non-financial support and how impact-oriented organizations deploy diverse resources beyond financial support. So as mentioned already, we are very happy to have Christina Candelacchi here with us. She's a Civil Society Development Program Manager at the Center for Strategic Research and Development of Georgia. Christina's main field of work is the provision of organizational development services as well as training programs to nonprofit organizations and social enterprises. And along with this capacity building expertise, she has also extensive experience in managing donor-funded projects. Another field that is very close to her heart and very relevant is social entrepreneurship. And currently she is also the manager of our common Collaborate for Impact project in Georgia, and Christina holds academic degrees in social sciences and work and organizational psychology. So we have really an expert here with a solid academic background, plus also the experience from the field. So Christina, thank you very much for being with us and taking the time to be with us in the afternoon today.
Thank you.
Together with me, Florian Tuda, I'm the Training Academy Coordinator at EVPA, is also my colleague Sara Seganti. She is the Senior Manager for Training at EVPA, and we will guide you through this afternoon today. So before we are getting started and jumping into non-financial support, I would just like to remind you, some of you might have already heard and saw this spectrum today in the morning, but just as a brief recap, to show you the impact ecosystem, the spectrum of capital. And just to also clarify some terminology that we have, like investing for impact that you see in the center here and investing with impact to the right side. But first, I would like to point you to the two extreme sides, to the left where you have philanthropy and to the very right where you have traditional investment. So between those two extremes, we will navigate now quickly. So investing for impact that you see, no, let's start with the philanthropy at the very left. So there you have grant making, traditional grant making. And then we move further to the right. There you have investing for impact. And there we are speaking about engaged grant making and social investment. That means that an investor for impact supports a social purpose organization, an SPO, with, for example, an unproven business model. That means an organization that will never be self-sustainable financially. But engaged grant making can also target social purpose organizations striving for a sustainable business model. But also, if you move a little bit further to the right, social purpose organizations with an already proven business model. So these are the three aspects for investing for impact. But then you see we already enter the space of investing with impact, which also can be called impact investing. And there again, investors with impact, they can target social purpose organizations with a proven business model or traditional businesses with an intentional social impact. And this is really at the center of both of these strategies of investing for and with impact, at the center is the social impact. This is really the most important part. Let's have a look how these two look like compared to each other. So Investors for Impact, they adopt the venture philanthropy approach through highly engaged grant making and social investment. The philanthropy, the classical philanthropy, was on the very left, but now we're in the investing for impact part, so the highly engaged grant making. Investors for Impact, they support innovative solutions for pressing societal challenges. That could also be environmental challenges, for example. Investors for Impact, they take risks that other actors in the field are maybe not prepared or not willing to take. And Investors for Impact provide in-depth non-financial support, and this is exactly the topic we will spend the afternoon together with. Their role in the ecosystem is to test and to scale these new solutions for societal challenges. They support SPOs that have maybe no market outlet or have a limited market outlet or a developing market outlet. And they also build social infrastructures. Whereas on the right hand, you see investing with impact. Again, the social impact is really on top of the list, but investors with impact, they need to guarantee a certain financial return alongside this social impact. Investors with impact, they invest in proven solutions and viable business models, and usually have also a larger pool of resources available. Their role in the ecosystem is to scale these proven business models, but at the same time, always making sure that impact considerations are really part of all investment decisions. And last but not least, the last point at the bottom is that these approaches are complementary approaches. They do not exclude each other. This maybe you have seen also in the morning, so just very briefly, this is the Charter of Investors for Impact. This was a collective effort that came to life recently. A collective effort means that we developed these 10 guiding principles together with our member organizations at EVPA, with academics, and also with our expert team leading on this in Brussels in our secretariat. So this is really the DNA of Investors for Impact. You can call it also the 10 commandments maybe of Investors for Impact. I will not go into all of these 10 principles, but I would like to stress 3 of them, which is number 5, 6, and 7. 5 is measuring and managing the social impact. 6 is the provision of non-financial support. And number 7 is the tailored financial support. And these 3 principles are the 3 core practices of venture philanthropy that we'll present you today in the afternoon. And these are tailored financing, impact measurement, and in a moment, we will deep dive into the non-financial support. And before I hand over to you, Christina, I will just briefly give a short introduction about the background, what we understand as non-financial support. Non-financial support is the provision of services to social purpose organizations, to SPOs, in order to maximize the social impact, to increase the financial sustainability, and to strengthen its organizational resilience. So these 3 aspects are at the core here. And EVPA developed a 5 steps framework that helps practitioners really to implement this non-financial support approach. And you see it here. The first one is to map the investor's assets. So what do I have as an investor? What can I offer to an SPO? Then secondly, assess the needs of the SPO to really check what do they need, where do they need support. Then develop a plan together, the investor with the investee. Then 4th is the delivery of the non-financial support. And 5 is then the assessment to see did it bring the value that was envisaged and did it have the right impact. And in this assessment phase also you see it on the left, this approach is a cycle. So it's also intended to reassess and to start all over again, to improve maybe for the next round. So it's an ongoing organic process. So these are the 5 steps. And just to mention, if you want to dive deeper into the theory part, which we'll not cover anymore now, because the practice is also very interesting, but there is a report that you can find on our website, a practical guide to adding value through non-financial support that provides a lot of background information if you're interested in that. I just would like to mention just very briefly 3 areas of development to give a little bit of also an example. Is a checklist basically on non-financial support that an investor can provide to an investee. So if we look at the social impact area, non-financial support could mean, for example, to help with the development of a theory of change or setting up an impact measurement system in terms of the financial sustainability. We could speak about support on fundraising, for example, to practical support with fundraising, advice, assistance, etc. Revenue strategy to have a good business plan in place, or also the financial management of organization to have the right tools in place, financial systems, etc., planning, accounting, all these things. And then the third area of development is the organizational resilience. There we speak in terms of financial support about human capital support, supporting the board of directors, the management team, the CEO, but also the recruitment practices, for example, helping the board of directors with assistance and advice, etc. And then one last point is the generic support. There we speak about strategic support. This can be general consulting, for example, developing a product, a new business idea, a new business system, advice on management, but also operational support here on the bottom right when we speak about marketing or IT support. Yeah? So this is really an overview. You find all this deeply explained in the report I just shared. But that's enough from my side. I will hand over now also the screen in a second to Christine to present how the Center for Strategic Research and Development of Georgia, how they implement and how they work with financial support. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And Christine, thanks again for being with us, and I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Florian. I will share my screen now. Welcome everyone again. It's a great honor for me to speak about our approach towards non-financial support to social enterprises. I'm Christine Kandelaki from the Center for Strategic Research and Development of Georgia. And first of all, I will shortly present our organization. And after that, I will talk about our experience in delivering NFS. I already made a brief introduction, so I won't talk much about our organization, but I think new people might have joined our conference. So I will tell you that we work in Georgia. The CSRDG was established back in 1995, and our mission is to promote good governance, stable and inclusive economic development, and the formation of active civil society. And in order to achieve this mission, we administer several large programs. However, I will emphasize only 2 or 3 of them, including of course, our social entrepreneurship program, where we actively work on delivering non-financial support to social enterprises. So how we began? Since 1998, we actively work on development of non-profit sector. We support civil society organizations, NGOs in organizational development, capacity building, networking, and etc. Since 2004, we launched our corporate social responsibility program, and since then we actively work on promotion and development of this concept, specifically within the business sector, business companies. And this experience inspired us to bring the concept of social entrepreneurship to Georgia, and we did it in 2009 with help of our partner organizations. Nowadays, there are about 100 social enterprises in Georgia, and we have many successful cases, and one of them was presented in the morning, the social enterprise Tadari. Since 2009, CSRDG has supported about 40 social enterprises, financially and non-financially. Nowadays, there are quite many actors already in the sphere of social entrepreneurship in Georgia. However, we observe that most of them provide only financial support to social enterprises and work mainly on popularization of the issue. However, we think that it is crucial to provide non-financial support to enterprises along with the financial one, because it's extremely hard to reach financial sustainability and real social impact without non-financial support. So the theory of change of our social entrepreneurship program looks like that. So we aim at developing positive social and environmental changes in the society by supporting SPOs, especially social enterprises in enhancing their social impact. And we do it via 4 main pillars, and this is financial support of startup social enterprises and already experienced enterprises. Non-financial support, this includes accelerator programs and long-term consultancy work. And here we really emphasize social impact measurement and management. The fourth pillar is popularization of the concept, and the third pillar and the fourth pillar is policy work, working on national and local level with decision makers on legislation and other state support mechanisms for social enterprises. So in our theory of change, this technical assistance and non-financial support is really important. However, we came to this condition basing on our experience and lessons learned. So we, during these 11 years, we accumulated the experience that brought us to such kind of approaches. And as we observed, we are really following the NFS cycle provided by EVPA. There are some weaknesses that we should tackle. However, I think at this moment we're doing still a great job. But I will tell you shortly how we started. So back in 2009, we started just with the short training programs for organizations, CSOs interested in social entrepreneurship. We provided about 4-day trainings for social enterprises, and after that, we were announcing the grant competitions and financing the best ideas. However, as we observed, this approach didn't work very well, so we decided to launch the bigger, like larger training program and accelerator for social enterprises, for people who had new ideas. And this accelerator really worked, and we began to receive more quality proposals and more quality ideas. However, again, at that moment, we didn't provide or barely provided non-financial support after issuing grants. So it was mainly only financial support. And we observed that it was quite hard for the social enterprise teams to manage the social enterprise, to manage their finances, or to measure their social impact. So they really needed non-financial support in diverse spheres. So we began provision of NFS, and now it's an integral part of our work. And this year, we decided to switch from ordinary grant making, grant management to a portfolio management. We hired a portfolio manager who is working with about 5 to 7 social enterprises, and is responsible for the whole process that we go through with our target social enterprises. This includes financial directions and non-financial too. Now I will tell you in detail about these five steps. So how we do it at our organization. So as Florian mentioned, the first step is map investor for impact assets, and of course we we are also doing it. We try to provide NFS in the 3 core NFS areas like social impact, financial sustainability, and organizational development. And there are often needs of provision consultancy or core trainings to general or operational needs of the social enterprises too. We do it using our internal human resources that the organization has, in-house consultants. And for example, we have, this is our know-how to deliver consultancy of social impact measurement and management in Georgia for social enterprises. So we do it ourselves. We do provide consultations on finances and governance, also ourselves. However, we think that it is more cost-effective to have also external consultants, not only internal, like full-time consultants. So we hire external trainers or experts when needed, and in our experience, it's mainly, for example, financial management, sales and marketing, product development, public relations, and so on. So it depends on the needs of the social enterprise. And we are proud that we are using pro bono consultancy services. In 2015, CSRDG has initiated the Pro Bono Network Georgia that unites more than 20 business companies now. At that period, the network was supported by Mitost, BMW, Herbert Kohn Foundation, and Taproot Foundation. And nowadays, it's a very active and useful network for us, because there are many business companies who are ready to offer pro bono services to social enterprises, and we really actively use this opportunity. So these are our assets. And we also mobilize resources. We need to not also financial resources for NFS, and this is provided by different donors like European Union, European Commission, and so on. So at the second stage, we see that it is the needs assessment of the SPO, specifically social enterprise in our case, and we of course do initial assessment, and this is done by the portfolio manager via a spatial questionnaire. After the initial needs assessment, the portfolio manager invites specific experts for in-depth needs assessment of the needs that might be touching the 3 core areas mentioned or other areas of organizational development or other issues. For example, I would like to mention that social impact is almost always an issue and is the topic that we always work on with social enterprises. At this stage, baseline information about the needs of the social enterprises are gathered. And then we go to the third stage that incorporates non-financial support plan development. And we do it in a participatory way. So we listen to social enterprises, they listen to us, and we plan everything together. So the social enterprises have ownership on the NFS plan. Without it, it is very difficult to provide such kind of services. So we agree goals of the non-financial support activities and corresponding outcomes and targets. This non-financial support, so this needs assessment and the NFS plan is mainly made after signing the grant contract with the beneficiary social enterprise. So the NFS plan is not like an annex or integral part of the grant contract. However, there is concretely outlined in the grant contract that it is obligatory to go through non-financial supports. So by signing the contract, the social enterprise express the readiness of engaging in this process. However, after gaining some experience and listening to many organizations, we now think that it might be better, maybe in some, we can start with some cases that we do this initial assessment before signing the grant contract, and we make the NFS plan, and it can become the integral part of the contract. So the first stage for our NFS is delivering it, and we use different methods. However, most oftenly used methods are one-on-one coaching and group workshops that are very interactive and participatory. If there is some need, we organize also workshops, trainings, and we can provide other support if we see a real need. We of course do monitoring of the milestones. We prepare and periodically check our consultancy reports. We organize update meetings, so we try to oversee the whole process. We end this process, NFS process, we exit when the contracting period ends, and at this moment it is about 1.5 years at CSRDG. However, as we actively work on development of the venture philanthropy approach, and we think that 1.5 years is not really enough for a social enterprise to get stronger, to like consolidate. It's not really enough. We think about extending our contracting period from 3 to 5 years. And along this, financial support will also grow, and non-financial support will always be there. However, when we exit social enterprise, our door always stays open, and any social enterprise, our target ones, the ones we financed, or the ones we just know that exist, everyone can access CSRDG, and if we see that they have really like urgent need that we can work on, where if we see ourselves where we can help, then we do it. So there is no need that social enterprises receive money from us. And of course, one of the most important steps in non-financial support delivery, it's assessing the value and the impact of the whole process. So we do it. We try to assess the impact. It's not easy. We do measure our impact periodically. Mainly, we compare the baselines identified at the needs assessment and planning stages. We compare display baselines to the achieved results, and this is done via individual interviews with the social enterprise representatives, mainly semi-structured interviews, and also group discussions about the achieved results. And also we look, of course, any financial or non-financial documents that were provided by the social enterprise. Here, I would like to mention that it is very important that you monetize your non-financial support. And by you I mean also ourselves, because it is our weak point. We don't really monetize the activities what we do in our NFS. For example, the budgeting for such kind of services we do basing on our experience, and we always try to be extremely cost effective. I mentioned that we use pro bono services. We are, for example, counting the hours of pro bono services received. However, we haven't thought to monetize it before, like to convert it into money. But about a week ago, me and my colleagues were discussing this, and we really planned to start doing it, and it is also very important. So just last considerations about non-financial support. It is very crucial for social enterprise sustainability. If you, for example, give money, or if you receive money and no one asks how are you doing, it's very hard. So in our experience, many social enterprises and many people, I don't know why, but aren't ready to accept this offer. And we see that who isn't accepting non-financial support isn't doing well then afterwards. NFS should be structured and needs a lot of planning, and of course measurement of NFS value for beneficiaries and its impact is also of extreme importance. So this is my presentation.
Thank you very much, Christine. This is well done and very clear, which I think is a super added value of such a presentation. I have a few questions for you. Some come from the chat, others I have written them down, but I would really open the floor to the questions from the audience. So don't feel shy, and really feel free to drop your questions into the Q&A box, but also share your own experience in delivering non-financial support. That would be great as well. So a few questions from the audience. The first one was about the number of social enterprises in Georgia. You were at the very beginning saying that I mean, this person would like to know what criteria to decide which are social enterprises and how do you count them? Where do this number come from?
So I mentioned that we have about 100 social enterprises, and I also mentioned that we don't have legislation, so we don't have like this legislative criteria. So we follow the three well-known criteria for social enterprises that are that they should have a social mission. It should be initiated for achievement of some kind of social mission. Doesn't really matter what kind of. It should have economic activities, and it should produce some kind of products and services, and it should have revenues from sales, and also democratic governance. This is also one of the main points, that the decisions at the social enterprise aren't taken by one person. And in Georgia, I will tell also one thing, and we also look at how the profit is distributed. If the profit is distributed among the funders or owners, then we think that it's not a social enterprise. The profit should be distributed for social mission or some social activities of the organization, or reinvested for scaling up of the social enterprise. And in Georgia, mainly as we don't have the legislation, mainly social enterprises are non-profit organizations, so their legislative status is non-profit, and by the legislation they don't have possibility to distribute this profit to the funders.
There is still a difference between social enterprises and non-profits, because social enterprises have to stay in the market, then they need to have a sustainability market dimension. Clear? Yes. And then another question is, what are the main sources of financing for the Center for Strategic Research and Development?
We have several large donors. One of the big donors is the European Union. So this new project is funded by the European Commission. One of the our core funding also comes from the German foundation, Bread for the World, and yeah, these are the main donors for us.
Thank you. Then I'm reading also a question from Maria Shirshova. She would like to be connected with pro bono experts. She runs a social enterprise in Georgia. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more how your accelerator program works, if you have calls that you open, or there is spontaneous applications. How does that work?
So first of all, I will tell about our pro bono network, and after we end this Q&A, I will drop the link also in the chat. We have the website probonogeorgia.org that you can go to the website, and there are and fill in the application that you need a pro bono service, and our pro bono consultant who does the mediation between business and SPOs, so will contact you, or you can just call to our organization, and we will guide you through this process. About the acceleration program, it's a little bit different. We periodically announce it, so it's not an open door program. And every acceleration program has its own mission, own goals. And we are collecting ideas. First of all, we are collecting ideas from organizations, social enterprises, or just initiative groups. Then best 8 or 9 ideas are selected, and they go through this acceleration program that lasts about 2 months. And after that, they have opportunity to write a social enterprise business plan and receive a grant. I can say that we are planning to announce a new acceleration program just within this month. So, and we will put it on all our resources, Facebook page, web page, and other
Great.
resources.
This will be for sure nice to hear for many organizations connected. So I have a question for you, because I think that was a very interesting point that you touched, the one that actually relates non-financial support to mitigating risk, which is a way to ensure that the support and also the financial support that you offer to social enterprises or NGOs really goes into the right way to ensure their growth and actually sustainability. But I have a question on the impact support that you provide, because you said that many needs, and this we know very well, that social enterprises need support to stay in the market in the best way, which needs sales support, financials and marketing, and all these more marketing oriented dimension. But do you also provide support into refining their theory of change, their impact measurement system, to also to mitigate risk, in the sense like to ensure these organizations achieve their impact goals and not only provide financial sustainability in the end?
Yes, of course. For example, when these social enterprises go through this acceleration program, during this program, we start talking about social impact, the measurement and management and theory of change. But still, many social enterprises, when they apply, they just have like a social problem and social mission and vision of solving it, but not a real theory of real practical theory of change. There are some of our programs where we do not have this acceleration programs, and social enterprises come to us without that prior knowledge. So we also have here to work with them on this issue. And we do it mainly in a participatory way. We do it. We do workshops where we discuss, talk about their theory of change, their goals and outcomes, and possible activities that they can implement to achieve their outcomes and like final goals. And after that, we also do, of course, like monitor how they accomplish their social impact management plan.
Thank you. I have a question on talent and the background of the team that works at the Center for Strategic Research and Development. You were saying that you have now the figure of the portfolio manager that supervise the financial and non-financial support offered to 5 to 7 social enterprises at once. I was wondering, in terms of workload, how this is managed, and in terms of talent and talent retention also, which is quite a challenge for this sector. So what type of background does these portfolio managers have? They're all financial backgrounds, and what is the talent program? So maybe you can give, some advice or experience, because we know this is always a challenge in the sector.
Yeah, at this moment we have 2 portfolio managers. Both of them have backgrounds in financial backgrounds, like business administration and finances. However, our leading portfolio manager has never worked in finances. She has her background is more in non-profit and social entrepreneurship sector. And however, I think that at this moment we are doing well. We've just switched to the portfolio management system. We are doing well. However, I think that it would be great if the portfolio manager had a really good background, not only in finances, this is also important, but also in organizational development issues. This is also very important. And the portfolio manager should have also like very good, very well developed soft skills, like communication, active listening, persuasion and conflict management, and so on. It's also very important. So we have portfolio managers who have about who will have about 5 to 7 social enterprises in their portfolio, and then we will observe how it works. It's a pilot stage for us.
Yes, it seems there is quite a lot on their plate. A question came in the chat from a social enterprise that is not based in Georgia, but still would be interested to empower networks in Europe and Russia. So is it possible to collaborate from other countries?
Yes, of course it is possible. We can get connected. We can connect you and everyone also to the Social Enterprise Alliance Georgia. This is also an umbrella organization in Georgia for supporting social enterprises. And we have often invite speakers or social enterprises from other countries to become speakers at our forums or
But is it possible to join the accelerator if a social enterprise is based in another country?
No. We are at this moment we are working now only in Georgia.
In Georgia, yes. But maybe you can reach out to EVPA, as there are many organizations in Europe developing accelerator programs. So maybe there is an offer in your country. I'm actually answering to this person, which is Whitney. So feel free to write an email. Thank you very much for all these answers. I think we are very close to the end of the panel. We have another 2 minutes, so maybe 2 minutes for a very short question, straightforward for Christine. Where do you think you make the real difference for these social enterprises? It's more the funding, the non-financial support, it's access to networks, for example. Do you have a couple of points that you think you can share with the audience?
Yeah, at this point, I think that so everything, but there are some other sources of funding for social enterprises in Georgia too. Other organizations also offer some funding. So I think CSRDG really makes difference in its long-term approach. And I said this that our impact fund, venture philanthropy fund, will take even a more long-term approach from 3 to 5 years. And this long-term approach, no financial support, and also we offer a really great networking opportunities with among social enterprises and not only. But when we established the impact fund, we hope that in terms of finances, we will be able to offer new financial instruments for social enterprises that are really scarce now, and only grant funding is mainly available, and we hope that we would be able to develop new tailored financial instruments too.
Thank you very much. There is a last question, just 1 minute to answer in the chat from Elena. Which are the most appreciated and needed skills for social entrepreneurs?
So it's a tough question because the social entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs and social people. So it's very hard to find these kinds of people who are social minded, who really care about social, societal, environmental problems. And these people really should do it, and they should have some kind of business mind. They should be risky, I think, and also innovative, and they should be able to find a way in a big chaos. And if they manage it, they will be really successful. Yeah.
Thank you. Last question. How much of your total budget do you receive from local donors?
From local donors, so what do you mean by local donors?
From funders that are based in Georgia, I would say.
Georgia, yeah. So I mentioned that our main funding comes from European Union. and local donors, it's a very small percent. We have some donations and funding from corporate sector, local foundations too, but it's very little. I don't know, maybe 10% or maximum 20%. It's a 10% of our whole budget.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Christine, for being with us and answering all these questions, sharing your experience. I would leave now the floor to Florian for last words. And thank you very much, Christine. All the slides and the recording will be available online on the Collaborate for Impact event page. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much, Christine. Also from my side, thank you very much, Sarah. It's always nice to see when a theoretical framework comes to life, and we really saw that very nicely in your example. So thank you very much, Christine. I briefly would like to introduce you to the next session, because this was only the first one. So what you can expect now is, first of all, a 10-minute break at the full hour at 2 o'clock. We are meeting again here under the same link. You can just stay in this room or reconnect, always with the same link. And we will have a look into tailored financing instruments as the next part. And then an hour later, the impact measurement and management. But what I also would like to stress, as Sarah and I are from our EVPA Training Academy, we also would like to point you to 3 of our upcoming training opportunities. And the first one is the fundamental online course on venture philanthropy and impact investing. If you also want to learn more about non-financial support and which role it plays in an investment process, etc., this is a very good course, because we spend significant time on this in that course. You see it here, register as soon as possible if you're interested. The deadline is today, but I'm sure we can extend it for some days. And then later on, when we speak in the next 2 sessions about impact measurement and management, and also in tailored financing, EVPA has designed particular trainings to exactly those core practices. So make sure that you have a look at these 2 courses. And I believe my colleague is also posting the links to the courses now in the chat. So if you're interested in this, have a look. Otherwise, that's it for this first session. Once again, thank you very much, Christine. Thank you very much to the organizing team.